Good evening YouTube, it's Mike Grimlock and I am back again with another video for you. Turned into a bit of a catchphrase this, but I always seem to say, it's been ages since I made the last video. And yeah, it has been a long time since the last one, at least 2 or 3 weeks. Main reason for that is basically just because I've been working away, which is always fun. No, it's not actually any fun. Right, I am here today to talk to you about the Wreckers. Dude, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Dave Tree from All the Cool Stuff posed a question on the YouTube community Facebook page. Actually, he kind of posed about 5 or 6. But I'm just going to deal with like 1 or 2. What is it you like about the Wreckers? Why do you like the Wreckers? And why would you want to buy a toy like Impactor and avoid toys like Topspin and Twin Twist? Well, I'm going to try and answer the questions as best I can for you. I think the first question is probably the easiest question to answer. What is it you like about the Wreckers? Easy! They're absolute badasses! Yeah, proper badasses. Love them a bit. Each one's an individual character. Some of them have a little bit more characterisation than others, but they've all been pretty well crafted through the comic books. And really, the pretty awesome part of them is the fact that they're actually Autobots, but they exist on a very, very grey moral area, where basically they don't really follow any rules. Except for Wreck and Rule! They don't really have much in the way of morals, they don't have much in the way of responsibility. They just basically turn up somewhere, kick ass, and then naff off somewhere else and kick more ass. I don't care who you are, that's just really, really cool. In some ways, they're a bit like an action film from the 80s. And by that I mean there was always like a Stallone film or a Schwarzenegger film, and they had to go against insurmountable odds to take some ridiculous thing that wasn't going to work, and nobody thought they were going to do it, and they went in by themselves and they absolutely cleaned house, and in the end they came out the victor. Some pretty good one-liners thrown in there too. That's kind of what the Wreckers are. They're like an 80s action film star, but they're a group. They're kind of like the A-Team. That's what the Wreckers are to me. They remind me of all the cool stuff I loved about 80s film. Ridiculous bad guys, properly hard-ass good guys, awesome one-liners, gasp out loud moments, and some pretty good storylines too. Wreck and Rule! In fact, they're responsible for so many gasp out loud moments and awesome artwork, and they don't even need to be in the comic or on the panel, and they can still make me, if I'm sitting reading a book, go, oh! I don't know what it is, it appeals to the inner child in me, I think. Getting back to the A-Team thing, I think that another thing about the Wreckers is that every single person you talk to has an individually favourite Wrecker. There's very few people who all agree on the same one, and I think that's part of their mass appeal. They're a bit like an amorphous unit because the shape is always changing. Sometimes there's a lot of them, sometimes there's only a few of them. Some people die, some people come in to take their place. Some people move on, other ones come in to take their place. And there's always constantly evolving. And with that comes everybody enjoying different characters. My personal favourite character is Perceptor. And most of that stems from All Hail Megatron, which was a pretty damn decent comic book. But there's just one image in All Hail Megatron where Perceptor becomes like this proper kick-ass beast with a giant sniper rifle, and every time I see it the hairs stand up on the back of my neck. It's awesome. I know plenty of people who wouldn't like Perceptor though. Some people might like Whirl, some people like Springer. Springer is a pretty badass dude. I also really like Cup. A lot of those characterizations are more from the IDW works than like the original Marvel stuff, but you know that some of the original Wreckers are also pretty damn awesome. Impactor, Rack and Ruin, Roadbuster, and of course Topspin and Twin Twist. And then you've got the Triple Changers. There's just so many awesome characters from the Wreckers that it's hard not to find one that you really like and you identify with. And again, I think that is part of the appeal. Another thing about the characters is the fact that you can actually compare a lot of them to A-Team members. For example, Ultra Magnus, or possibly even Impactor, Hannibal Smith. You want a bot with bad attitude, a bit like BA, Rack and Ruin, possibly IDW Springer, and probably the most obvious comparison of them all, Whirl, Howlin' Mad Murdoch. He even changes into a helicopter for Christ's sake. Completely unhinged. I've never really managed to find a comparison for face though. Any suggestions? I'll try and keep this video fairly short because I think actually I've answered probably 2 questions there. So moving on to the last question. Why would you want to buy an Impactor over say a Topspin or a Twin Twist? That's a fairly easy question to be fair. Impactor is a classic character from the comic books from way back when we were kids. So it's someone that we've kind of grown up with. although he's never been in any other medium. So to have his first official toy, of course people are going to want it, even if it is a recolour of a bit of a shoddy toy in the first place with Onslaught. I've actually seen the Impactor because Ed's got him, and he does actually look really nice. Lovely face sculpt. Can you imagine if somebody brought out a Rack and Ruin? Fly off the shelves, that would. Absolutely fly off the shelves. And again, I think that's why Hasbro are doing a Roadbuster this year, because there's a demand for it. People do have Wreckers shelves. Basically, if you identify really well with the comic, and a story like Last Stand of the Wreckers is going to stick with you because it's so well written. It's probably one of the best pieces of Transformers fiction that's ever been, and the characters in it are brilliant. If something like that resonates with you, and there's a toy of one of the characters that you like, of course you're going to want to go and buy it. Especially if it's the first one that's ever actually been released, even if it is a recolour. The Top Spin and Twin Twist thing, well, a lot of people have got the Jump Starters. Even more people have probably got the Demolition Crew. I haven't actually got any of those, to be honest, but I do have the Robot Manuel X and Robot Basil Z. It's fairly understandable that people aren't going to go run into the shops to get recolours of those, because a lot of people were really down on the fall of Cybertron Bruticus. I kind of liked him. I thought he was a lot of fun. But a lot of people didn't like him at all, so they didn't really want anything to do with him, except for the Impactor. I'm discounting the Dark of the Moon Wreckers because they were terrible. And they weren't Wreckers. They're bloody scientists who couldn't socialise. That's not a Wrecker! I quite enjoyed what Transformers Prime did with the Wreckers. Even though they made Wheeljack an absolute badass, which he wasn't really ever at all. Really ever at all in the past. I love Bulkhead. Bulkhead is like a modern day Wrecker. He's big and he's nails. That's what a Wrecker is. He's just someone who's properly nails, who just couldn't care less, wades into a fight, fists out, all guns blazing, who makes you go, oh! And they just appeal to like the inner child, the sense of destruction, and they're good guys. And ultimately, I think that's what I love about the Wreckers. They remind me of my childhood. They remind me of every single bad 80s film that I ever watched. They make me laugh. In some cases, Last Stand of the Wreckers, they even well up a little bit. There's just something intrinsic about them that just makes me love them. I love the Autobots, I love the Decepticons. For some reason, I love the Wreckers more than any of them, which I do find a bit weird. To me, the Wreckers basically are just awesome, and I love them. And if I had the money, I would collect everything I could find. I haven't even mentioned the third-party bots yet. You know, we have third-party versions of Springer, Broadside, Roadbuster, the Demolition Crew. It's getting there. We're getting quite a lot of third-party stuff. And who's that aimed at? It's not aimed at children, it's aimed at us. People who are of a certain age who really, really like the Wreckers and are willing to pay money to have a Wreckers-based toy. And again, I think that comes straight back to the fact that the Wreckers are awesome. I should have just wrote the Wreckers are awesome along here, and that probably would have answered like the whole thing. But never mind. I hope this video has made some sort of sense to you. I'm loving all the activity that's going on the Transformers YouTube community page. It's fantastic. Guess a Bot, Saturday Light Fever, Dave's new segment with a question every Monday. I hope you're all enjoying it as much as I am, and I'm so pleased that it took off and that people are still using it. And it's become quite a good little community. So I'm going to get this edited and uploaded. It's going to go on the Transformers YouTube community Facebook group. I shall see you all later. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye! Also, the Wreckers are so cool that anybody who joins the Wreckers is immediately cool by association. Is there any other groups you can think of where that actually happens?